There are moments in life when everything begins to fall apart. Moments when hope disappears, when fear takes over, when it feels like the world has quietly turned against you. And strangely, those are the moments she appears. No one knows where she comes from. No one knows where she lives. But people across the city have told the same story. A quiet little girl, standing where she shouldn't be, watching, waiting, and somehow changing everything. It began on a rainy evening. Traffic was heavy. People rushed home after work. Among them was Daniel, a taxi driver. He had been driving since morning, but the day had been terrible. No customers, bills waiting at home, and his wife in the hospital. Doctors said she needed surgery, but Daniel didn't have the money, not even close. His thoughts were heavy as he drove through the wet streets. Rain tapped against the windshield. Then suddenly, something appeared in the road. Daniel slammed the brakes. The taxi stopped just inches away. Standing in front of the car was a little girl. She looked about 7 years old, wearing a simple white dress, her hair slightly wet from the rain. But she wasn't crying. She wasn't scared. She was simply standing there, looking at him. Daniel stepped out of the car, confused. "Where are your parents?" he asked. The girl didn't answer. She only pointed down the street. Then she spoke quietly. "Turn left." Daniel frowned. "What?" The girl looked at him calmly. "Turn left and drive." Before he could ask anything else, she was already walking away. Daniel stood there in the rain, wondering what had just happened. Something about the moment stayed with him. Daniel sat in the taxi, thinking. Then, for reasons he couldn't explain, he turned left. The road led into a neighborhood he had never driven through before. A few minutes later, a man ran into the street, waving his arms. "Taxi! Taxi!" Daniel stopped. The man jumped inside. "Please hurry," the man said. "My father collapsed at home." They rushed through the streets. Minutes later, they arrived at a large house. Several family members were waiting outside. After helping the man inside, one of the relatives approached Daniel. "How much do we owe you?" Daniel hesitated. The man opened his wallet and handed him a thick stack of money. "Thank you for coming so quickly." Daniel looked down at the money. His heart began to race. It was more money than he had made in 3 months. Enough to pay the hospital, enough to save his wife. Daniel sat silently in the car afterward, one thought repeating in his mind. The little girl. But Daniel wasn't the only one. Across the city, another strange story was unfolding. Maria worked at a small grocery store. She had just received terrible news. Her son was missing. He had disappeared on his way home from school. Police had searched for hours. No sign. Maria sat outside the store crying, the sky turning dark. Then she heard a small voice beside her. "Why are you crying?" Maria looked down. A little girl stood beside the bench, white dress, quiet eyes. Maria wiped her tears. "My son is missing." The girl looked toward the street, then pointed. "He's near the old bridge." Maria froze. "How do you know that?" But the girl didn't answer. She simply smiled and walked away. Maria immediately called the police. Within an hour, they found her son near the old bridge, safe, alive. But when Maria returned to the store, the girl was gone. 2 weeks passed. More stories began appearing. A construction worker who avoided a deadly accident because a little girl told him to move. A doctor who discovered a life-saving diagnosis after a girl asked him to check again. A man about to jump from a bridge who heard a small voice say, "Your daughter still needs you." The stories spread quietly. Different people, different places, but the same description. A little girl, 7 years old, white dress, calm voice, mysterious smile. People began asking questions. Who was she? Where did she come from? And why did she only appear during moments of despair? Eventually, A journalist named Elena heard the rumors. At first, she didn't believe them, but the stories were too similar, too consistent. So she began investigating. She interviewed Daniel, Maria, the construction worker, the doctor. Every witness described the same girl, same dress, same calm voice, same strange timing. Elena searched school records, orphanages, missing child reports, nothing. It was as if the girl didn't exist. But then something strange happened. One night, while Elena was walking home, she saw her, standing under a streetlight, the same girl, watching her. Elena's heart pounded. She slowly approached. "Who are you?" Elena asked. The girl tilted her head slightly. Then she said something that froze Elena completely. "You're looking for me." Elena knelt down. "How do you know that?" The girl smiled softly. "You ask many questions." Elena tried to remain calm. "Are you helping these people?" The girl didn't answer immediately. Instead, she looked up at the night sky. Then she said quietly, "People help each other more than they realize." Elena frowned. "That's not what I asked." But when she looked back down, the girl was gone. Just like every other time. No footsteps, no sound, just gone. Where years passed, the stories never stopped. People continued seeing the girl, always during the worst moments, always when hope seemed gone, and always just long enough to change something. But no one ever discovered her identity. No parents, no records, no explanation. Some people believed she was an angel. Others believed she was a spirit, a guardian, or maybe something even stranger. But those who met her all said the same thing. When she looked at you, you suddenly felt like everything was going to be okay. Well, somewhere in this city tonight, someone is losing hope. Someone is facing their darkest moment. And maybe, just maybe, a quiet little girl in a white dress is already on her way, waiting, watching, ready to appear, exactly when she is needed. And if one day you meet her too, remember to ask yourself one question. Was she really a stranger, or was she something the world still cannot explain?